Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Coming up, the grey geese are here. We're out with top goose guide Des Cochrane as they land just north of Edinburgh. Fishy business, we're on the River Tay with chef Neil McGown looking for salmon, and he's got a surprise for us in his freezer. Welshy snipes, we're on the Great Bog of Tregaron looking for snipe. But first, a gracious invitation from Her Britannic Majesty to shoot red stags at Balmoral. Well, she let us a week there anyway. Late September was the beginning of the rut. The young stags are play fighting. In 2 weeks' time, with the rut underway properly, the hill will be alive to the sound of roaring, and Prince Charles will be stalking here. On this beat, in this wind, the best way onto the animals is to walk up the steep hillsides where the beasts are browsing and drop down onto them. The problem is getting close. 3 of us were there to stalk. Me, Peter Carr, editor of Sporting Rifle magazine, and Wesley Stanton, editor of Gun Trade News. Halfway up the hill, we spot a roebuck and a roe doe. They are a long way from the red deer herd. With a sound moderator on the rifle, we have a chance of shooting this one without disturbing any of the stags. Wesley is the one to take the shot.
We've been on the hill for 2 days looking for red stags. We've seen plenty of them, but there are not that many mature beasts. The rut hasn't really started yet. This is my last chance this morning. Got to get on a plane from Dundee at late this afternoon, and we were still looking for red stags, but we saw a roe deer about a couple of 100 yards up the hill, and one of them looked to be a good shootable buck. And though might be a bit unorthodox, seeing as we're looking for red deer, it was a good animal, a good head, a good shot. It's not the biggest roebuck in the world, but they don't grow that big on the hill. You know, further down they will, but that's a really nice beast, so very pleased with that.
Onto the top of the hill, and I'm the next to take a shot. When the rut starts properly, this big stag is likely to be displaced by one coming from a neighbouring beat on Balmoral or a nearby estate. It's steeper than it looks. To get to it, I crawl over a boulder and the stalker ties a rope around my ankle so I can't fall down the hill. Another beast to go to the larder, and we have a chance of a third in the herd it spooks as they pour away.
As you can see, this stag, it was limping, it was an injured stag, and I actually shot it as it was moving. I've shot many beasts before in continental Europe on a driven bow hunt many times, so I'm quite used to doing this, but it would not be a recommended shot for a British stalker.
Then there's the problem of getting the animal down the 1,000-foot hillside and back to the larder.
The soldiers and the staff here at Balmoral Castle use the Highland Garran, or the ponies, to retrieve the stags off the hill. From really, well, in my opinion, I would say from a traditional point of view, many Highland estates are now reverting back to the use of the Garran, as opposed to mechanised transport such as Arga cats, Scottrack, etc., due to the expense of maintaining and running these vehicles. And it really is the true Highland experience. Shoot your stag on the hill with a tweed-clad ghillie, to retrieve it with the ponies as it was done 100 years before. One of the soldiers commented that the roebuck was like a cat with horns in comparison to a red stag. The soldiers have come to Balmoral, really, many of them without much countryside experience, but it was quite a shock for them to see the roebuck as opposed to the big stag. The soldiers are actually royal protection for the royal family at the castle, and a section of the Scots Guards are also detailed to work the ponies, or the Highland Garran, for the gamekeepers and stalkers upon the estate. There's a number of beats on Balmoral estate, and 2 ponies to each stalker, with the possibility of taking 2 stags during the stalking day, being managed by the soldiers to get the stags off the hill and back to the larder in the castle. Balmoral really is a fantastic place to stalk. It's been unchanged for 100 years, since Victorian times, and we're very fortunate to be here. It's probably the most sought after Highland estate to go stag stalking.
Balmoral is the uber Scottish estate. They do everything bigger and better here. Later on, we're pigeon shooting and goose guiding. First, we're on the River Tay after salmon. Start of day and every salmon fisher is thinking flies. What's going to work magic today?
I'm fishing a hardy angel, 10-11, and the line is intermediate, and I'm going to put a 10-foot sink tip on it, on the tip.
The owner and head chef of the East Hoch House Hotel in Pitlochry, Neil slips away whenever he can to fish his beloved river. With Spey, Tweed and Royal Dee, the Tay is one of Scotland's great salmon rivers. We're on it in September. Neil recently took on this beat above Perth.
Well, this is what we call a steps pool, just below Dalmarnock Bank. Produces quite a few fish, this pool. It's a good height, it's about a foot on. Come on dogs, come on, Katie. Yeah, it's a good day for it. Overcast, not too bright. Ah, it's grand to be out. Beats work every day, this does. Okay, got a slight upstream wind here. I'm not the best of single spey casters, but we'll have a go. Just all I need to do is do a short line here. Oh, there's a fish. No, it wasn't.
And what weight line is that?
This is a 10-11 line, but it's a shooting head.
So big rod, big line and a big river.
And a big fish, I hope.
Yeah, go on.
But I mean, magnificent views. There's plenty to look at down here.
Good company, great location, but unlike the salmon fishing later in September, the only bite we have is what they call round here, wee. So a successful day's fishing then?
Exceptional.
You must be delighted. If you push it right up to the camera, it'll look about as... Yeah, it's sort of salmon power, isn't it? That's good. Yeah, Neil puts it back in the water. Who knows? It may return one day to beat the 64-pound British record fish caught on this very river. It's back to the hotel and a hint of what could be lying in these waters. But Neil has more and darker secrets tucked away in the larder. Well, God shall not count against you time spent fishing. However, Neil's not entirely happy with his catch today, so he's asked us to have a quick look at his freezer. Neil.
Yes.
What have you got in here?
Just a couple of little tiddlers to show you.
Come on, lift the lid. Good Lord.
This is one.
That's what a salmon ought to look like. That's not from the Tay, is it?
No. This is from the Alta,
The Alta, where's that?
Norway.
Oh, there we are.
Probably one of the best Atlantic salmon rivers in the world.
And we'll be having a little fishing trip there recently.
Yes, I had the pleasure of fishing there the other week.
Oh, that looks fantastic.
Wonderful.
Now, there's something very strange going on at the...
Well, I'm storing these for a taxidermist friend of mine. They're not from the UK
That's
at all.
not Atlantic salmon.
Well, it's Atlantic salmon.
That's an alligator.
Well, yeah, or a crocodile. Hold on, struggling here.
Also, fighting harder than Oh, that is revolting. That's absolutely disgusting.
35, 40 pounds.
What can you say about that fish?
It's ready for smoking, I think.
That's quite a kipey front, so he's a cockfish, isn't he?
Cockfish, got teeth as well. Hasn't lost any teeth. Look at the teeth. I mean, that's why we call him a crocodile.
That is revolting. He doesn't use Colgate, does he?
No, certainly not. No.
So you'd like to unload that on the taxidermist as soon as possible?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
No, your silverfish is absolutely beautiful. That's what a fish ought to look like. Let's put that horrible thing away. If the CLA Game Fair gets in the way of the roebuck stalking in July, the Midland Game Fair in September really mucks up the arrival of the grey geese. We're out with top goose guide Des Cochrane. He's got a couple of clients coming to shoot geese and pigeon about an hour north of Edinburgh. While his shooting clients are asleep, it's recce time for Des. He's up early to spot geese and, for the benefit of the cameras, he's putting out decoys and he's putting up a hide.
That's a snow goose call, but again I've pitched these very high, meaning that I've pitched the reed inside to create a very high note, very similar to the pink, but I can also get a grey lag call on these.
Give us a pink.
So basically, that's the call of the pinkfoot, and as he approaches the decoy, you can give the gabble call. And as they approach the decoy pattern, you stop that call and watch the birds. If they turn on you, you give the call again, turn the birds back to the pattern, a couple of gabbles, and then remain silent and watch, and hopefully the geese will come in range for the guns. I can get the grey lag call on this one as well. Again, a deep, rich, resonated gabble call. If it's turning to the pattern, a couple of gabbles, and then stop and watch and wait. If they turn on you and not too sure and then go back away from the pattern, give the call again and again watch. A lot of guys come out and shoot geese on fields and that, think they can just buy these calls and blow and blow and blow and blow and geese will just arrive. It's a learning curve, you've got to watch your quarry. First of all, we have resident grey lags on the loch, breeding pairs as well, and their numbers are increasing and they're causing a huge amount of damage out of the shooting season to the local farmers, especially on broccoli. And especially on the week of the moon, when the geese change their habits, they come from the loch in the night time, during the night, and feed on the fields when everyone else is asleep. Farmers wake up and find half the fields have gone.
Des has to fly as well. He's off to set up a pigeon day for clients.
Basic decoy pattern, we're on barley stubble this morning. With a small roost behind her, so the pigeons want to feed on the barley stubble. There's a potato field behind her and they're feeding on the potato tops as well, and then coming back to the trees behind the decoys, which is a good draw for them. A fairly open pattern, hoping that the birds will want to come to the movement of the whirly machine or the wood behind us, or actually to feed in the decoy pattern. So we've got the best of three worlds here. Yeah, I've got bobbers on the right side on the flight line through the track here. The whirly at the centre of the pattern, and I've left to create a gap between the two. Basic hide building, again we've got a dark green background, so we use dark green nets, but we've also got a grassy green front with a bit of yellow and light green, so we've just utilised whatever natural resources we have in front, grass, thistles.
He puts them in their hides and leaves them to it. Des is off to organise snipe shooting for them later. The happy shooting clients are going to shoot 170 pigeons today. That was birds going up. Now from geese to goshawks, let's have a look at birds going for a drive.
They've had their fill of reality TV and now it's a chance to see life in the fast lane. Well, a few country lanes and a few roundabouts.
It's all part of their training. I mean, I prefer to start taking them out in vehicles and exposing them to everything that's going on from a young age. So these are now quite used to having a ride in the car and looking at all the traffic and tractors and motorbikes and everything else going past.
Roy is now taking them for a spin on a daily basis, and they seem to be taking it in their stride.
So we know where we are. Are we comfy, kids?
So how many times have you done this?
What, taking them for a ride? Yeah. Well, I mean, when, you know, during the rearing process, during the 8 weeks that I have them from when I hatch them, then, you know, they come with me all over the place. So, you know, they're coming in the car almost every day.
He knows how important it is to cover all bases.
You know, you try when you're doing the imprinting process and the rearing process to expose them to, you know, absolutely anything that you could possibly come across. You know, my old Goshawk, because I made the mistake of never letting her see children running around when she was younger. She still now, you know, is not keen on children. So when she sees children, she takes a bit of a fright. But then again, that doesn't surprise me. I find children quite scary.
The Goshawks are clearly happy with their tour, with no ruffled feathers, but the 4x4 still needs mucking out.
You wretched beasts, aren't you? You wretched beasts. Yes, you are. Right, if I grab two. Actually, yeah, you can go in here. Come on.
A few of these birds are now heading off to falconers in Europe. Roy is keeping the rest, and next time on Fieldsports Britain we'll see him starting to work on the jesses and the anklets.
Everything's central.
From young birds to an elder statesman, we're off to see our classic countryman, Mick Sage.
Pheasant season open, October, absolutely brilliant. Before you start shooting, make sure that you've got a full team of pickers up and beaters. Pickers up in particular, because the last thing you want to be accused of is to have wounded birds laying about left, right and centre. So make sure you've got a good team of pickers up. They are worth their weight in gold. Look after them.
From wise words to West Wales, where a team of guns is preparing to walk the Great Bog of Tregaron for snipe. Croeser y Cymru. We're 10 miles from Aberystwyth in one of Europe's biggest bogs. It's perfect for snipe, but not perfect for English shooters in wellies. This is a walked up stand and shoot day. Some guns walking, some guns standing, and most of them shooting at thin air. Steve Watts loves his bog, he loves his whales, and as a former Great Britain shooting team member, he knows how to shoot his snipe.
Be quick. If you're walking up, it's footwork and timing. You don't rush your first shot. Step into the shot and pick your bird and take it, and make sure you've killed one before you look for another one. You know, very often they'll get up 2s and 3s, but just take your time for the first one. If you've got a chance of a second, go for it. And driven snipe, they always catch people when they're zigzagging, especially. Always pays to take the one over the next door gun. Because he's flying a straight line as far as you can see.
Some people say point at the bird. Does that work?
No, not with snipe. No, you're not going to have much success there. You might with these lolloping pheasants and things coming over trees, but you know, aim in front of the bird and just pull away and pull the trigger. But with snipe, they need some lead.
And what's a good bird to cartridge average for snipe?
Over the years I've been doing it, even if you get a good team out, you'll never sort of tend to do any better than about 10 to 1. You may get 5 or 6 in a row and then you'll miss 5 or 6 in a row. But it's 2 for every miss and possibly just a 1 for every kill. But it's a great leveller.
They're an exciting bird to shoot, and by lunchtime there are a few in the bag. There's not much meat on these birds, but they make a delicious starter roasted on toast. And as well as the cat, there was another predator in residence. It's not a big volume day. We're working hard for our quarry. So what are these fabulous little birds all about?
In the air, of course its flight pattern makes it a very, very good quarry in terms of its the way it flies. It darts about the sky and it looks much bigger, in fact. You can see that when that bird is flying, it looks an attractive target, but because it's jinking about, it's quite difficult. And I'm not sure who shot this, but whoever it was a very good shot because it was quite a high bird when he took it. So a very good sporting shot.
The estate is owned by the Vaughan family. John Vaughan arranged the day and reveals some fascinating facts about the bog. Tell me about the road that goes across the bog. What was the story there?
The story there was that it was built by the famous Welsh engineer David Davies, and he built the railway really between Carmarthen and Aberystwyth, and that had to go across the bog. And to do so, he built it on wool and brushwood. The wool was bundled and put into wool sacks and then just laid on top. It made a spongy surface, but a firm one, and able to lay the railway. And it's still there today, and it's still amazingly good, solid surface, and a very useful road for us when we're shooting in the area.
What kind of shooting are you trying to produce here?
Good quality rough shooting is the aim. If you have that mix of snipe, woodcock, bewed ducks, some walked up pheasants, some of the most enjoyable day shooting I've had here is that sort of day where we might shoot 50, 60 birds just walked up, and that's quite possible to do. But we haven't done that for some time, and my objective is really to try and rebuild that type of shooting.
Tregaron gives new meaning to the words bogged down.
Until it gets a bit better.
That last one was with the gun empty at the end of the day.
My gun's dry.
In the end, 6 guns stayed at Trowscoed Mansion, shot 5 snipe and a teal and got change out of 1,500 quid. Wales has so much to offer the shooter from the other side of the marshes. Well, it's the end of a lovely weekend here in wild west wet Wales. The guests have gone home. They went up tiddly up up and they fell down tiddly down. This programme is back in 2 weeks' time, when we'll be finding explosive new uses for old cartridges. Next week, Shooting Politics comes from Harper Adams Agricultural College, where on the panel will be fox hunting freedom fighter Otis Ferry. This has been Fieldsports Britain, like the Archers, but with real props.